There are two forces at the table that are confronting each other on the political, ideological, and military fronts. We are willing to agree that one of the first topics on the agenda should be the ceasefire, but not a unilateral one. We are willing to talk about a bilateral ceasefire, agreed under a formula that does not mean a defeat of the insurgency.
The FARC are composed of several fronts and blocs all over the country. Are all commanders supporting this peace process?
La FARC se encuentra más unida que nunca.
FARC is more united than ever. Today, the leadership team is meeting around the thoughts that were transmitted to us by the founding commanders of our organization.
What type of social reforms need to happen in Colombia for you to lay down your weapons?
Son los temas económicos, sociales.
Economic and social issues are at the center of Colombia's internal conflict. Issues like jobs, work, education, the socioeconomic situation that is troubling our country, a capitalist country modeled on the developing neoliberalism that is sinking the old Europe. Therefore, we would characterize it as an armed social conflict. Poverty is precisely at the root of the insurgents, the armed uprising. A final agreement must consider needs such as work, food, and education.
There have been so many victims in this long conflict. Paramilitaries have killed thousands and thousands of people, but also there's been members of the FARC have been involved in what many say are war crimes or human rights abuses. What type of treatment do you think that these people within the FARC should get? Are you expecting an amnesty?
It is ridiculous to think that a successful guerrilla who moves around in the jungle or his commander will wind up in prison. These are methods that the paramilitaries have already experimented with. But this is a farce because the paramilitaries haven't gone to prison. We say that we are an insurgent force, and as such, a peace process must be built that is very generous in its justice and laws, and allows the insurgents to move back into political life.
Well, those talks will represent the latest attempt by Norway to help broker peace in a long-running conflict. The country has a track record of bringing enemies together, as Linda Nyberg reports now from Oslo.
It's a long way from the forests of South America. But if all goes to plan in Oslo this week, there could be a breakthrough in one of the world's most enduring conflicts. Talks between the Colombian government and FARC guerrillas are about to begin, the latest in a long series of Norwegian attempts to broker peace. In the city where the Nobel Peace Prize was awarded this month, its director told me why Norway has been able to play such a pivotal role.
One, a certain reputation. After all, the Oslo Agreement for the Middle East was done here. Money, the Norwegian government has much money to contribute if needed, and secrecy can also be provided here.
But important as these points are, there is more to Norway's peacemaking role. Its neutrality is key. It has no overt links to West or East. It's a European country, but not part of the EU. Most of all, though, it's self-sufficient and not seen as a tool of any of the world's great powers.
But even with all this preparation, there's no magic formula. The 1993 Oslo Accords between Israel and the Palestinians may have been as close as the two sides ever came to peace, but ultimately the plan failed. And talks to end Sri Lanka's internal conflict also eventually broke down, leading to years of further violence. But whatever the outcome for the Colombians, the man who led talks the last time the two sides met here believes conditions in Oslo will foster dialogue.
They will be able to talk directly and quietly. Hopefully they will be able to settle a detailed agenda and go into the substance. But nobody knows. It's always very unpredictable when parties meet after so many years of bitter war.
And it's that unpredictability that may be the biggest challenge for both the Norwegians and the Colombians. History has shown that peace around the negotiating table is perhaps more difficult to achieve than victory on the battlefield. Linda Nyberg, Jazeera, Oslo.